Hey, this is Ryan Sherrer. I am the host here at Small Business Chronicles, and we are here with Brian Weaver of FocalPoint Coaching. Today, we're going to talk about business coaching. It's something that you see out there a lot. There's a lot available. There's a lot of different styles and types of coaching, and a lot of people don't understand the value of it. And I think it's just like marketing. Some people might have been burned by it, but what I want to do is I want to get down to the nitty-gritty of coaching, get some examples, get Brian's opinion and views on why you need coaching and why that will help you excel as you start this solopreneur, entrepreneur, even corporate business and how that goes. How are we doing today, Brian?
I am super. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Glad to have you on. Glad to be here. Coaching is one of those things that has just become very relevant in my life as I'm starting a journey to seek out a coach. So before we get into coaching, I ask every guest this one question to get started. Why should we trust everything you're getting ready to tell us? And why should we trust you as a business coach?
I would say on the surface, you shouldn't. The reason I say that is you should really get to know any business coach before you bring them on as a business coach. Are they the right person? Or did they jive with you? Do they hold the same values as you? Are they committed to the same things? So a little bit of background for me. I graduated the Naval Academy. I did 9 years as an officer of the Navy, spent 15 years on the corporate side, running sales teams and operations teams, running businesses, and been doing coaching for a couple of years now. And what does that say about me? If nothing else, it says that I had a lot of opportunities to screw things up. And I will share with you all of those things that I've ever screwed up in my life. And hopefully you'll learn from them so that you don't have to screw up the same things. So that's probably why you should trust me, just because you get what you get with me. I don't have a lot of extra layers.
That's fair. And thank you for that answer. I like that answer. Your first line was you shouldn't. You should never trust a talking head on the internet right out of the box.
Correct.
That's whether it's me or you, whether you watch every one of my shows or whatever. That's the first thing. So explain to me a little bit what a business coach is. I think we all have this convoluted or maybe a truncated idea of what this is in our head, but give me a detailed answer about what a business coach actually is.
Yeah, and I'll start with saying it's not a life coach. There's a lot of life coaches out there, and people get us confused sometimes. And I kind of joke sometimes that a life coach is a hairdresser who decided to go into coaching. From my standpoint, though, from a business perspective, I've become a business therapist. I get to hear about what's going on in your business. Sometimes it gets into what's going on in your life. I think being an entrepreneur or solopreneur is lonely. There's not a lot of people to talk to about what you do that aren't going to necessarily judge you as well. So your spouse doesn't necessarily understand. Your employees, if you've got employees, you can't talk to them about your woes all the time. So you need somebody to talk to. But I talk about the 3 A's a lot. Awareness, action, and accountability. We got to create awareness of what is available, what good looks like in a business as far as how you run it. We have to create action together. What are you going to do next steps? And every meeting I have with anybody always says, what are the next steps you're going to do? If we don't end with the next steps, then I failed. And then accountability. The next meeting we're going to meet, I better be holding you accountable to what it is that we talked about last week. Because if I didn't do that, I failed. And you need to call me to the carpet at that point.
So what, and I want to go over those 3 A's because I think that's a very good plan. But what sort of person needs a business coach out there? Because I went through a lot of stuff before I got to where I'm at today when I'm even considering hiring this type of business coach, this type of whatever. So where do you feel that business coaches fit into somebody's work and life?
Honestly, it's anybody who is struggling with clarity. What is it that they're why are they doing what they're doing? What are our values? What's our mission? What's our purpose? Things like that. If you've kind of struggled in that clarity piece, you need a coach. If you don't know how to grow, you need a coach, because we get into market. I'm not a marketing guy, so don't think I'm infringing on your turf.
No, not at all.
But we can talk about marketing and why marketing is important and what good marketing looks like versus bad marketing. And marketing is a changing landscape all the time. The algorithms for Google and for everything else change on a constant basis. But that's why we say, all right, you need to go engage a marketing firm, depending on your type of business, to get those leads that you're trying to attract. But it's also, we get into sales, we get into processes, because a big part of growth becomes the processes that you implement, because you can't necessarily scale yourself if you're doing everything on your own. And then we get into lead. So clarify, grow, lead are kind of the three things we get into there. And if you are trying to build your own leadership skills for your employees, if you're trying to build up the leadership skills of your employees, you need a coach to help you that, or a trainer in some sense. And that's an important thing, because if you want your business to be more productive, it relies on good leadership. It relies on providing a nurturing environment so that people can excel. If you want to increase the value of your business, it involves having good leadership at the next level below you, because you can't sell yourself when you go sell your business. You're selling the business as a whole. So those are kind of three important things about really increasing the value of your business, along with creating, keeping yourself motivated. That whole clarification piece at the beginning, it's important to know why the hell you're doing this stuff, because this is tough. If you want an easy job, go work for corporate and do that stuff. People are going to give you a paycheck every couple of weeks, and it's great. But being your own boss and being an entrepreneur where people are now depending on you to make money, it's tough, and there's easier ways to do it. So you got to know why you're doing it.
What is the biggest? Is there a commonality when you're asking people why they're doing this that they come up with that's just wrong? Because I think all in our head, like we all want paid, we all want a big business, or maybe it's ego or whatever it might be. What is the most common reason that you see people do this that you have to correct and change?
A lot of times it's I don't want to work for corporate America. That's the whole reason. Yeah. I don't want to work for a big corporation. I want to be my own boss. I'm sorry, but if you've got clients, you're not your own boss all the time. It's just, let's get past that mindset and really get into why it is that you're doing it. Why is it important for you not to work for corporate America? Well, because I got fired 3 times. Well, all right. Why did you get fired 3 times? So let's talk about some of those other things. And maybe the things that got you fired are also going to be things that hold you back from succeeding in business. And if that's the case, then maybe we need to fix some of those things before we even get into much else.
Yeah, if you can't keep a 9-to-5 or corporate job, you can't work for yourself. One of the reasons why I kind of went back to Titan Digital and did the thing from my own marketing company is I know me and I suck at it. It was one of those things that if I can sleep till noon and play video games all day, I had to stop working from home because that's what I did. I just know who I am. And if I'm my own boss, that guy runs a real loose ship and doesn't get anything done. So I found it was such a big issue for me that I went back and took a job with the company that we're currently with, and I've excelled and I've thrived, but at the same time kept my business smaller, more manageable over to the side.
Yeah, there's a book on my shelf back here somewhere over there. I've got about 8 copies of it down below here, and I give it to just about all of my clients. It's called Discipline is Destiny. It's a Ryan Holiday book. Because it's so important that if you're going to be your own business owner and your own boss, you've got to be disciplined. And discipline is not a 4-letter word. A lot of people think that discipline is a 4-letter word. It's not. It really frees you up. And I try to harp on that on a regular basis. Look, be disciplined with yourself. Get your ass out of bed in the morning. That's the first thing I find with people is like, oh, I slept till 7:30 or 8. Like, you lost 2 hours of time that you could have been getting ready for the day. You lost your exercise time. You lost your goal planning time. You lost all this time. What the hell's wrong with you? So we get moving early in the morning, and it's that discipline that keeps us going that frees up the rest of our day so that we can pursue our passions.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like now I get up. I get up about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. I get up. I have time to relax. I have time to have the headspace to meet the day correctly.
Yep.
I don't start corporate job until 9, so that gives me from 7:15 to take care of. If I do want to play a handful of video games, or if I want to drink coffee, or if I want to meet one of my friends, or if I want to edit some extracurricular video, do whatever, it gives me time to do that. Then I'm nice and relaxed and I meet the day, and then I keep my employees in line and do that. And you're right. Discipline is the one thing that, but self-discipline, I think is the hard point here.
Well, and you're exactly right. Marcus Aurelius talks about we hold ourselves to high expectations and we're tolerant with others. We can
Yes.
be disciplined for ourselves. And that's why I think people think that discipline is a 4-letter word, is because it's all about, we discipline our children, we discipline our employees.
Right.
No, we have to hold ourselves to higher standards and hold ourselves accountable.
But I think that's the thing people do all the time. Like my daughter, I'm like, hey, you need to stop eating a whole box of cereal at a time. And then she'll be like, well, I watched you eat 2 pizzas the other day. So, I mean, it is that you project that discipline without making yourself accountable for it.
Yeah. Let me tell you, if you're trying to tell your teenagers, hey, you shouldn't be drinking, they can't see you, getting drunk. Yeah, it's okay to see you enjoy a glass of wine or whiskey in moderation and being temperate with that stuff. But if you're getting snot slinging drunk every weekend, what example are you setting for your children at that point? If you're telling them don't get drunk, you're 17, you shouldn't be doing that. So, same thing with the pizza. Not that I've ever eaten 2 pizzas.
Yeah, right. I mean, they were New York thin crust. There wasn't a whole lot of heft to it.
Those are so easy to eat, and
right?
They're crispy and they're delicious. But
you just roll it up like a taquito and get fatter by the minute. It's that. I mean, that's what you do.
Polish it off with a pack of Oreos. So
that's right. At least a line. At least a line of Oreos. A pack's a little excessive.
Once you start it, you've got to finish that line.
Yes. Oreos and Charlie Sheen both. So So we talked a little bit about accountability because we're talking about discipline, right? So we've identified problem. We're looking at problems. How do you hold people accountable? How is it that you as a coach get to hold me accountable for my shitty behavior?
So it's funny. Accountability is the other 4-letter word, because nobody wants to ever be held accountable. And they talk about, we've got to have this accountable culture within our company, but please don't hold me accountable for anything.
Yeah.
That a lot of times when we talk about actions and I say, what did you do? Did you do your actions for this week? Well, no. All right. Well, why? All right. Was that more important than this? And then I start to say, let's pull out your goals. Now let's start to looking at what your revenue goals were. Let's reduce that number now. So, well, I don't want to reduce my number. It's like, well, if you're not going to take action on the things we talked about, you're probably not going to make your numbers. So let's really revise that. And you do that a couple of times with a client, and either one, they're going to get mad at you and not want to talk about it anymore and break their connection, or they'll start to get the idea is like, he's going to actually ask me about these goals every single week. I should probably do something with it. And I've got one guy that I work with. He's a business owner, does in the insurance space. After the first few meetings where I was asking him about certain deals that he had been working on and he had forgotten about it, he revamped his entire CRM system and brought in a virtual assistant to help him manage that piece of it, because he realized that's where he was failing on a weekly basis, is he wasn't following up on some of these bigger deals and he had lost the bubble. Now we don't even talk about that stuff. We talk about how he's growing the business, how he's developing the other producers. What are the bigger goals he set for the business, not his own individual pipeline.
Where do you feel, have you ever had to give up on somebody because they just wouldn't take accountability?
I have not done that with any of my one-on-one clients. I've had some group clients that I hate to say it, I've written off. I couldn't write them off necessarily. Kind of a turd thing for me to say. But I have. I
No,
wrote
not at
them
all. I
all.
mean, this is business. This is human. There's people that wander into this place that just don't get it, and there's people that are successful despite themselves. And by the time they get to a coach, there may be reasons or things why you write them off. And I feel the question's important because if I'm going to a business coach, I want to know what not to do as well.
Yeah. So, and I give some of these people are people that have been in business for years, 15 to 20 years. And you would think they would be further along in the progress than they are. And they come to me and they've gone into a group coaching session. And it's harder to do that accountability piece at a group level just because now you got 6 people in a room that are, they at least start as strangers, but they eventually become, buddies after about 12 weeks together. But it's such a tough thing though when you see somebody who comes in, they haven't done their reading, they haven't done their application exercises. Sometimes they show up the wrong location because they didn't read the emails that came out the day before that says, hey, we've changed locations. And I try to hold myself responsible for that. It's like, well, did I communicate to them in every means possible? Did I send them a text? Did I send them a smoke signal? How else do I need to communicate with them to get them there? But at some point when you see them always pointing the finger at other people, I can't succeed because they're doing this. I can't succeed because that's happening. I say, well, you know what? We'll finish our engagement here, but I'm not going to go back and try to bring you on as a one-on-one client.
Right.
I don't want blamers.
Not to go off on a rabbit trail, but I think you hit the nail on the head and was kind of what I was wanting you to say. And I was bad about that. I was bad about that when I started business too, is blaming other people for your own failures. Yeah. Right? Is that it's, I didn't get that, or the email went to this, or I didn't do my due diligence, or that pass the ball game that you'll message somebody and go, did you hear about that? And if they don't ever message you back, then for some reason you're off the hook and now it's their fault. So you keep passing this blame around. My life, my whole career, my everything changed when I stopped doing that.
Yes. When you take responsibility for yourself, it's eye-opening to, well, first off, it's really eye-opening when you start looking around and say, wow, all these people are blaming people. How do they get anything done? Mm-hmm. But you really start to accomplish more because now you're saying, all right, well, how can I do that better now? Oh, that didn't work. How can I do that better? Instead of saying, oh, the economy sucks, so therefore my business isn't going to be good. Well, right. The economy has sucked before.
And will suck again.
It'll suck again.
Your sentence should be the economy sucks, but I succeeded despite that.
Exactly.
Not I failed because of that.
Good businesses will always come through in a bad economy. And it's funny is I don't care what the economy looks like. I've heard it from so many people say, well, the economy, what with the economy, it's hard to do this. I'm like, I don't know. The market's doing well. Unemployment's low. What's your specific issue with the economy today? How is that affecting you? And they can never really say that. That's just a good excuse.
I think excuses reign supreme. Have you ever had to tell a client, this is the business isn't for you?
No,
entrepreneurship isn't for you.
Usually by the time they get to me, especially with the one-on-one clients, they're making enough money that they can afford me, first off.
Yes.
And they want to be coached. That's the other thing too, is this is not a hard sell. I tell people what I do. I tell people how I help people, but people have got to be, they have to want to be coached at the end of the day. And there's a lot of people out there that don't. And
no,
I'm not going to push myself on those guys.
No, they are getting a business coach because that's what the magazine or that's what the YouTube or that's what the podcast said to do. They're just going out and getting it because that's what they're supposed to do. Not that they're actually absorbing or using the tools the way they're supposed to.
Right. And I screen prospective clients out because I have a process when I onboard them. I do a little 5-minute discovery call here and a 20-minute coaching call and then a 1-hour strategic business review. And all those are little micro commitments that I ask of them and say, hey, prepare this, do a little bit of this. And sometimes they don't cut it. And when I get to the end of the strategic business review, if they've made it that far And I don't think that it's open. I'll offer it, say, this is what I do. These are things, but I don't spend a lot of time following up after that, especially if it's somebody that's rescheduled 8 times on me, or,
Of course. Yeah.
they missed the phone call the first 3 times and I had to call them. And in one instance, the lady was talking to her and I could hear the glasses and the dishes at the restaurant in the background. I was like, did you forget we had a call today? She goes, oh no, I had an important meeting come up. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So, and at that point I said, you know what, when you're ready to engage, call me back. You've got my number. And I left it at that. Cause I got better things to do with my time and other people to help at that point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We like to do business here on our terms, right? We set a line. There's too many people in business that chase other people. Like, and I think that's business insecurity that people get, is that, oh, I have to land that client. I have to get client. I need to keep this money flow coming in. So instead of chasing the right clients, they chase every client.
Yes.
So it's good to know that you don't do that. That goes back to that trust factor.
Yeah, I spent 15 years on the corporate side where I had to deal with clients I didn't want to deal with because the business said, here, take this. And I won't name the names of those clients, but some of them are really big clients. They're paying us hundreds of millions a year. You need to deal with them. All right, well, they're jerks. I don't really like them, so I don't have to deal with the jerks now, which is great.
No, that's fair. So we're going to wrap up here, but thank you so much for coming out and being honest, just being honest and talking about the things in coaching, because too many times. Before we wrap up, I have 2 more questions. The first one, sorry, I got a little lost there. The first one is this. How do you know a good coach from a bad coach? Because just like marketing, there are people out there that like, hey, my buddy says I should be a business coach, so now I'm a business coach. People that are in it for nefarious or have stock answers, like a therapist playing on their phone while you're trying to tell them about why their dad left. That's probably like good. That's not a personal story, I promise. But but how do you know? How do you know a good coach from a bad coach?
So a good coach, when you meet with them, they're going to spend more time talking and asking you about your business than they're going to be talking about their qualifications. I spend very little time talking about myself in meetings with clients. I'll share experiences where they're applicable, where I say, look, in the past, I've dealt with the same sort of thing. Let me share something with you. But 90% of my interactions with people, even at the beginning, I'm just asking open-ended questions. I want to know about your business. I want to know about your struggles, and figure out if I can help you. And there's been times when I've said, maybe you don't need a business coach. Maybe you need a therapist, because it sounds like you've got deeper issues than just your business. You've got marital problems. You've got addiction problems. You've got all sorts of things that aren't necessarily my cup of tea here. So that's my main thing is, don't trust the guys that want to tell you all of their requirements or all of their qualifications, I should say.
That's fair. And let us know how to find you. Let us know how to find you, how to get a hold of you, services you offer, how to do the pre-qualify, since you do screen, all of that. So this is your 2 minutes of the show to do your pitch, sir.
All right. Well, great way to reach out to me is through LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile, I've got a lot of information there, including my website, email, phone number. My email is bweaver@focalpointcoaching.com. I do one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching and something I call an entrepreneurial growth course, where it's really kind of a set sort of 8 sessions over 12 weeks where we get into mindset, behavior, and growth and strategic planning and things like that. But I also do sales training and leadership training. I spend a lot of time with companies working with their sales team to from everything from prospecting to overcoming price objections and things like that. So yeah, I touch on a few different aspects there.
Thank you so much for being with us. Go ahead. What?
I said, I think I've hit on all the ways to contact me.
Gotcha. Yeah. So reach out to Brian. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. And as I start debating getting a business coach and just somebody for accountability and stuff, what you're saying resonates. The 3 A's, making sure you find a good one, making sure that making sure that you get the best out of it that you possibly can. My name is Ryan. This is Small Business Chronicles. This has become your Swiss Army knife for different things. We do everything on the show, from emotional intelligence to business coaching to marketing to networking etiquette. So follow us on smallbusinessdelivered.com. We've also got a couple other shows over there. We've got Business Breakthroughs with Neil DiPentino. Neil DiPentino was an assistant to Kevin O'Leary, been in business for years. He's come and joined us as a host. And the man, the myth, the legend, the mustache Cash Miller does Marketing Masters. If you're in marketing, if you want to take that deep dive through marketing and hear all the different marketing tactics in the ever-changing world over there, that is Marketing Masters. You can find all of those on Small Business Delivered. You can just search that across all social media platforms. We're a little microphone that's blue, just like you see in the background of this. That is our logo. You find that, you found us. Once again, Brian, thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you, Ryan. I had a great time today.
Hey, thanks so much.